Hola, bienvenidos a la rueda de prensa de Goldberg Variations, de la compañía Rosas con Teresa De Keersmaeker. La vamos a hacer en castellano porque hay algún periodista que se está conectando desde Madrid. The Goldberg Variations es un espectáculo de Teresa De Keersmaeker con Alan Franco al piano. Es una interpretación de las Goldberg Variations de Bach. Estamos desde Temporada Alta muy contentos porque es la primera vez que contamos con la presencia de la compañía Rosas y de Teresa De Keersmaeker en el festival, aunque ya sabéis que estas presentaciones se realizan en el Mercat de las Flors de Barcelona porque pensamos que era el espacio más idóneo para presentarlo, que sí que es un espacio que ha disfrutado de la presencia de la compañía unas cuantas veces. Este espectáculo es una vuelta a Johann Sebastian Bach, que es un compositor que ha estado muy presente en toda la carrera de Teresa. Es un solo que dura 2 horas, una duración considerable para un solo de danza. Y vamos a pasar la palabra a Teresa para que nos cuente un poco por qué esta vuelta a Bach y qué son o qué ha pretendido con su interpretación de las Goldberg Variations de Johann Sebastian Bach.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. So, Goldberg Variations, Johann Sebastian Bach. This piece was made in 2020, and it was for me. I sort of define it as my golden jubilee in my relationship with dance. I was born in 1960, and I started dancing when I was 10. And so when this piece was made, it was about 50 years of my celebration with dancing. It's my 7th rendezvous with the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, who somehow was present from the very beginning when I started my solo violin feast to the music of Steve Reich in 1980. And the music that was present there was the Brandenburger Concerto, but it took me many years before I dared to start to choreograph that. Goldberg Variations are one of those pieces that Johann Sebastian Bach wrote by the end of his life. It are 30 variations based on a very simple theme, a sort of song, in which structurally Johann Sebastian Bach deploys all his craftsmanship, his technical, but also his spiritual and I would even say cosmic knowledge or sensitivity in a very structured, canon-based, every 3 pieces canon-based writing that brings together his sense of movement, his sense of counterpoint, sense of structure without being systematic, his sense of rhetorics, his sense of being embedded in the human experience, and maybe therefore going beyond that human experience. I think, like a lot of people, I discovered the Goldberg Variations in the 80s, namely the same time of Rosas dan Rosas by the famous recording of Glenn Gould, and a little bit later by the dancing that Steve Paxton did. I chose the Goldberg Variations because I wanted to have an overhaul structure of an evening, not like a shorter compilation of different Bach pieces. The other Bach pieces I did are the Brandenburger concertos, the cello suites, Partita with Boris Sharmatz and Amandine Beyer, different collaborations where I combined it with the music together with Alain Franco, with Bach, Beethoven, not Beethoven, Bach, Berg, Schoenberg. In the music of Bach, there is always movement. it moves us and it invites us to move. There are a lot of traditional pre-classical dance forms in it, like Allemand, sarbands, jigs. It's also, for me, an important collaboration with the Finnish lighting designer Minan Tinkainen, who shapes the space through the light in a very, I think, beautiful way. The decision of making a solo was for me quite peculiar in the choice with this music. I really wanted, in an intuitive way, I wanted to dance with this music. And then there was the whole question of counterpoint. And for me, it's a sort of looking back, a celebration of 50 years of dancing, but also like a going back to all those different dance pieces I choreographed and I danced myself. So there is a lot of memory, there is a lot of quoting my trajectory as not only as a choreographer, but as a dancer. And it is a beautiful coming together, I think, with the musician Alain Franco, with whom I made different pieces to the music of Bach and others, and where you bring together both the historical approach of that music and a very modern, contemporary approach of that. I think for me, the music of Bach is crucially always about harmony and about shaping the space and the time and longing, doing a bet on beauty and longing, doing a bet on harmony. I think that is today more than ever in the kind of complicated world we live in and the challenges that we are as a humanity are facing. I think dancing and dancing to the music of Bach can be a modest attempt of trying to heal, trying to share, doing a bet on harmony. I think we're all very much confronted with the complexity of problems and the scale of problems we're facing as a humanity. And very often one wonders what the role of art and performing arts and dance can be in that. As I said, for me, it's a modest attempt to create a sense of harmony and spending time and space together. As you see, we are today guided by the good things of technology. It's about communication, but the very simple thing of sharing the space and time, like people have been doing, sitting around the fire and remembering where we come from, where we go to. I think that is a basic thing that is irreplaceable by the most modern technology, by artificial intelligence. It's, I think it's going back to where we came from to do a modest attempt to build a more harmonious future. I think it's a try, but I don't know if let's try, let's fail, let's try again, let's fail better, so to say. So that's what I have to say. Yeah, I hope it's not too quick for the translator.
Todo bien. Yo no creo que hayas fracasado. En todo caso, yo quería preguntarte sobre los solos. En los últimos años, por lo menos, vas coreografiando piezas de grupo y de vez en cuando aparece un solo interpretado por ti. No sé si es para mantener viva la bailarina, además de la coreógrafa, pero tengo esta sensación como que hay una combinación en tu trabajo de trabajos de grupo con tus solos que van apareciendo de vez en cuando en tu carrera.
Well, there are parallel tracks. In the beginning, I made solos. Violin Phase is the very first solo. About 14 or 15 pieces I danced myself. I did an oral solo, other solo to the music of Joan Baez. And it is true, I do consider myself even more a dancer than a choreographer. The body is a place where you experience the passage of time in the most direct way, and indeed the desire to dance, which I have from when I was a kid, you know, and it's a little bit a simple answer, but I think it's a true answer. It's somehow in my genes that my relationship to the world is in the first place defined through non-verbal communication and through dancing. I think dancing has this aspect of celebrating. Let's party. What do people do when they're very happy? They sing and they dance. No? When you want to release energy, when you want to be, it's the celebrational aspect, I think. And you can dance alone, you can dance in couple. And from 3 on, there is a party, no? If you're with 3, there is a potential party. There isn't, yeah. So I don't know, do the stars dance? Do the animals dance? Do the waves dance? Do the clouds dance? I don't know. I mean, choreography is also, it's writing, like in the Greek word choreographa, and this is like writing the chorus, writing the group of people. I think it's always also somewhere a social and a political act. Yeah. Most recently, I've been working a lot, not only, well, I've been alternation as basic structure between working with groups, large groups, small groups, and then, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I'm busy with. And I hope, I'm very grateful, and I thank, well, if the music of Johann Sebastian, I thank God that I still can dance. I'm grateful for that. Even if it asks quite a lot of daily discipline, you know, which is not always easy to keep.
Bueno, y antes de pasar la palabra a la prensa, justamente sobre este tema, un solo de 2 horas, que no es una duración habitual ni para casi ya ni para un espectáculo de danza, pero para un solo todavía menos. Supongo que han supuesto un reto físico también estas Goldberg Variations.
Yeah, it's okay. As I say, it asks some, there are certain things you better don't do. And yeah, it asks some kind, it's like athletes, huh? Yeah. So it's finding a balance. Yeah, it's finding a balance. And I want to say also, I'm happy to be back in Barcelona. Back in Barcelona, we have a long history with Barcelona. Together with Sevilla, it's actually the only city in Spain where there has been such a continuity. And for different reasons, that continuity has been, I understand that this festival is normally in Girona. Hello?
No, hacemos alguna cosa fuera de Girona, sobre todo en ciudades más pequeñas alrededor de Girona, y los últimos años hemos hecho alguna cosa en Barcelona, porque porque no tenemos un espacio grande y bueno para presentar espectáculos de danza. Pero llevamos colaborando con el Mercat de las Flors en varias cosas y por lo tanto es un placer presentar un espectáculo tuyo de temporada alta en el Mercat de las Flors.
Okay. Yes.
Vamos a pasar la palabra a los periodistas, que creo que empieza a haber alguna pregunta. Jordi.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buen día, buenos días. Has hablado del solo y también hablas del contrapunto en la pieza de Bach. Em, ¿Cómo se hace el contrapunto desde un único intérprete, ¿no? Antes pensaba que Àngels Margarit hizo una obra también de Goldberg, de las variaciones de Goldberg, pero era con un conjunto inmenso y que precisamente lo que le permitía esas 30 estructuras era poder hacer cápsulas de una de ellas, ¿no? No sé si tú lo entiendes que se tiene que ver en el absoluto, en el completo, en esas 30 piezas una detrás de otra. Y esa es una pregunta. Y la segunda es eso, ¿no? ¿Cómo haces el contrapunto en un espectáculo que es un solo? Gracias.
Yeah, over the 40 years I'm working, and over the 60 pieces I've written, my relationship with music has always been at the core. And the fact of developing different strategies in the relationships with dance and music. We have there is a whole range between what I say, the relationship like with Cage and Cunningham, where music and dance are completely independent. Then where you have, like, for example, in film music, what I call the Mickey Mouse relationship. Mickey Mouse goes down the stairs and the music goes like in a very imitative way, do, 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 do. And the music goes do, 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 do. And Mickey Mouse goes down. It was a dilemma for me. Yeah. When I dived into the music and I saw how this counterpoint was written, and then it's based on canons. So I took the deliberate choice of, on the contrary of what I did, for example, in the Brandenburger Concerti, where I really focused on the counterpoint. I took the deliberate choice here of going for this solo voice and making a sort of counterpoint, visual counterpoint between the pianist, the light, my trajectory as a dancer in the past, which is a counterpoint with memory, and working on underlying geometrical frameworks and spatial strategics that are not literally counterpoint like in a canon or like in a fuga, but that are in a different way, in a broader way. And I allowed myself the artistic choreographic freedom of not following a strategy that was literally translating that counterpoint. I mean, I think you should see the show and then see whether it convinces you or not. It's not a one-to-one counterpunctual relationship. Is that a satisfying answer?
Tenemos otra pregunta de Marisel de La Vanguardia, que pregunta cómo se organiza para mantener el espíritu físicamente.
How do you? Oy, that's a difficult question. Because being fit, I always... I think it's something about clarity. I think nature is by its very definition or very essence spiritual. And I think dancing is I think potentially the most natural and thus also the most spiritual. I think through the observation of nature, I think to trying in the measure of possible in the kind of world we live surrounded by technology and by artificiality, trying to be close to nature in the different aspects, the way you live, the way you eat, the way you make choices about your life as a citizen and as a consumer, to try to develop a kind of intuition. I think intuition is an important thing, that your body develops a sense of openness, so that you're receptive for that vibrational field. So I find the word fit is a little bit more suited for athletes and for a competition-driven, because that it gives, of course, it makes you thinking of Darwin, no, survival of the fittest. Yeah, so it's survival of the most spiritual ones. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think. I wouldn't call it a survival of the spiritually most fittest. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking loud now. Is that answering your question?
Sí, me comentan que sí. Sí, no tenemos ninguna. Ah, mira, ahora mismo tenemos otra pregunta.
Yeah, I like that idea, survival of the spiritually most fittest.
Mira, Jacín Tontón del País pregunta, ¿las variaciones tienen una parte racional y otra, diríamos, sensitiva? La mística de las variaciones que tanto cultivó Glenn Gould. ¿En qué manera vive ella esos dos aspectos de la obra en escena? ¿Es fan de Gould?
I don't agree that Glenn Gould is necessarily the most spiritually, most mystically, most relevant interpreter. I think Glenn Gould's approach was radical, and it was very well presented, to use a dirty word, commercialized. I mean, for me, as you know, I mean, like a lot of people, we discovered those Goldberg Variations through Glenn Gould. So in the same way that Pablo Casals made us rediscover the cello suites of Bach, you know. He, by his approach with the Glenn Gould, no repetition. It's a very short version. The way unusual tempi and so. But I find it a little bit too short, or too. I find it's not right to a lot of fantastic other pianists who have interpreted this music in many different ways, both on piano, both on harpsichord, even on accordion. The Goldberg Variations were done in a way that I like the Glenn Gould version. I like it a lot, but I find there are a lot of other interpretations which are as valuable. They're maybe less known. And that's one of those things, you know, I mean, we're not allowed to speak about genius, but this music of Bach is, even when it is, even when it's badly played, it still continues to be fantastic. Yeah.
Hola, perdona, ¿me escucháis? Vale, yo quería saber hasta si podemos decir que esta obra es un compendio de su carrera.
Yeah, I understand, but this division between senses and mind, and I don't make that in this way, you know. Dance is about embodied abstraction. It's about celebrating the body in all its different aspects, in an anatomical, analytical way, but also in a sensitive way, in a social way, in an intellectual way, so call it rational way. I don't see that division like this. And that's also with Bach like this. It's not like this separation. Yeah, that it's purely about distance mathematics, analytical. No, that's not what Bach is. Bach brings those things in a very holistic way together, you know. And that is what it is. Soli Dei Gloria, that's what's standing on a lot of the scores of Bach, who wrote more than 2,000 pieces to the glory of God, so to the glory of that what we cannot name. And it is, yeah, with an incredible sense of proportions, of architectural constructions, about this kind of clarity, this kind of life, celebrating, driving force that makes that this music is like a little chunk of infinity. But it's never this, or I like this aspect about Bach, or I like this. And I think different pianists or different interpreters, they bring all those things together, you know. Bach's music was imbued by a big sense of mortality. You know, he lived in a time after the 30 years war, when there were a lot of people dying in Europe. He was earning his life by writing music for funerals. Yeah, he had 20 children. He lost his first wife while he was on a trip, came back. He had 20 children, of which more than 10 died, and they died not after 3 days, but they died after 2 years or 3 years. That means time to get attached to a little human being, you know. So death was, he was, like mitten wir in Leben sind, in midst of life, he was surrounded by death, and that was, the music of Bach is celebrating life, to celebrate death, and to celebrate the fact that we come from infinity and we go back to infinity. That was a daily practice. And he went through different stages in his life of where he was recognized, but we all know that he died in very poor circumstances where he was not recognized anymore. He died blind, just like Haydn. He lost the sight. He couldn't see the light anymore. He never had the opportunity to. He never had the opportunity to. To write an opera. His most narrative pieces were the pieces where his the passions, like the Matthäus Passion, and you know. simply because he never got la commande. You know, he was never paid for doing that. You know, unless Vivaldi, who had the opportunity to write sacred music and religious music, but also worldly music. For Bach, that was yeah.
Tenemos otra pregunta de Marisel de La Vanguardia que dice: ¿cuál es la relación escénica con el intérprete musical? Igual que tenía aquellas haciendo las cello suites.
In the cello suites, or like in the cello suites, is not the pianist, is the Jean-Guillaume Queyras, is the cello.
No,
No, in the Goldberg, the relationship.
Sí.
Well, there is a very specific thing about this piece. This piece was created while the collaboration started while I was in New York for 6 months, preparing West Side Story together with Ivo Van Nova. And that was about 40 years after I spent a lot of time in the very beginning to the music of Steve Reich, violin phase. And I worked with 2 pianists. I worked with both Pavel Kolesnikov, who is a young, from Russian origin, but Britain-based pianist. But this piece was developed during COVID, during the pandemic. And from the beginning, I wanted to work with 2 pianists because I thought that instead of being the dance being the interpretation, I wanted the music being possible, that starting from that score that is unchangeable, that the interpretation could be different. So I worked with both Pavel Kolesnikov and Alain Franco, who is somebody with whom I worked for a long time, who has been following the Rosa's trajectory from the very beginning. And we developed a parallel trajectory with those 2 pianists. So Pavel was often in London, and we did some attempts with rehearsals on Zoom, but that didn't work very well. And then Alain, we alternated that. So the score and the music of Bach, the Goldberg Variations, were at the heart. But we had a kind of triangular relationship where we adjusted that approach in different ways. So there was a very enriching experience. Yeah.
Vale, no tenemos ninguna pregunta más. Pero tenemos un momento aquí a Noel Eduardo, que es el responsable de prensa del Mercat de las Flors, que quería un momento saludar y pedir disculpas por la ausencia de Àngels Margarit, que no se ha podido conectar hoy.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Hola, Teresa. Hola, Narcís.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I companys del Temporada Alta i periodistes. No, doncs això, l'Àngels es disculpa perquè... Perdona, Àngels se disculpa porque está fuera, está en Ljubljana en unos simposiums. Le hubiese gustado estar en esta rueda y simplemente transmite el hecho de que estamos orgullosos y encantados de tener de nuevo a Teresa en el Mercat de las Flors. Y esperamos, pues estos días poder coincidir con ella y en fin, pues disculparnos por esta ausencia de Àngels y nada, que encantados de estar de la mano de Temporada Alta una vez más.
Muchas gracias.
Yes. Thank you so much.
See you in Barcelona, Teresa.
Sí. Hasta mañana, ¿no? How do you say it in Catalan? Hasta mañana is
Fins demà.
Fins demà.
fin de semana, yeah? Yeah.
Un momentito que tenemos otra pregunta más que nos ha llegado ahora de Marta Cervera del periódico, que pide, cada vez es
Yes.
más habitual ver a bailarines que siguen bailando a pesar de los años. En su caso, ¿seguirá bailando hasta el final o se pondrá un límite? ¿Y qué le pone ese límite? ¿Qué lo pone ese límite?
Let's see, I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. I can dance still. Yeah. Yeah. I'll see. I do. As I said, I like to dance. I try to keep on going it. I don't know. I didn't make a plan. I stopped then, or I continue with that. We'll see. Yeah. I don't know.
Vale, pues no tenemos ninguna pregunta más, ahora sí.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Muchas gracias,
Yes.
Teresa. Nos vemos el viernes y muchas gracias a todos por estar en la rueda de prensa.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.